Hello Internet and welcome to Know Your Combo series. The premise here is simple. I'll try to explain some of the more common commander combos and show you how and when to interact with them. In this episode we'll take a look at Devoted Druid. This innocent mana dirk is a simple 0/2 elf druid for 1 and a green that has an ability of tapping for 1 green mana. At first glance, nothing serious. The spice comes, as usual, with its unique second ability, which for a cost of putting a -1/-1 counter untaps Devoted Druid. For a 0/2 creature it seems balanced. You can use it once and get an additional mana, and that's it. Additional use would kill the elf and everything is fine. Of course, this being an unique ability has some very specific interaction that are not exactly considered when designing other cards down the line, and we end with something really stupid and powerful. At some point in time someone sat down and pondered, what if Devoted Druid would not die from its second ability? And he found some answers. Now, moving to more substantial rambling. The crux of this combo is to make sure that we can use the second ability unlimited amount of times, and thus generate ungodly amounts of green mana by tapping and untapping Devoted Druid as much as we want. And we have quite a few ways to do so. Let's start with a colorless option that can be squeezed in any mono-green deck. Luxior Giada's Gift is a simple 1 mana artifact with Equip Planeswalker for 1 generic mana and normal equip ability for 3 generic mana. It was designed with Planeswalkers in mind, but its static ability is worded in a way that works not only with loyalty counters of equipped Planeswalker, but also with any kind of counter on equipped creature, which includes -1/-1 counters. While Devoted Druid is equipped with Luxior, each -1/-1 counters grants an static +1/+1 bonus, resulting in no change in creature stats, allowing us to spam the second ability as much as we want, and do stupid stuff from here with virtually unlimited mana. Luxior is also searchable by all artifact tutors, and even Urza's Saga, which puts him into the position of best combo piece for Devoted Druid in mono green, since that color can search up any land with ease. Now, let's move to green-white. Here we have two good options, Vizier of Remedies and Swift Reconfiguration. Let's start with Vizier, since he's a creature and creature tutors are green bread and butter. His ability generates a replacement effect that reduces number of -1/-1 counters to put on our creatures by 1. In the case of Devoted Druid, that reduces the cost of activating the second ability from putting 1 -1/-1 counter to putting a 0 -1/-1 counters. And from here we can just proceed as before with unlimited green mana. Swift Reconfiguration works in a very different way. Designed as flavored removal, it turns a creature into a vehicle that requires a crew cost to activate, but it does not remove its abilities. So when we turn our druid into a car, suddenly not only we have a car that taps for mana, but also a car that can untap itself by putting a -1/-1 counter on itself. And as it's commonly known, cars don't die from -1/-1 counters. They are artifacts, not creatures. From here combo proceeds as normal. We tap and untap the druid car for any amount of mana. So, changing color again, this time for blue. A little more expensive options here. Machines got Effigy and One with the Stars. First one can enter as an artifact with abilities of Devoted Druid and having an additional ability of tapping for blue mana. As in the case of Swift Reconfiguration, statues are not creatures and don't die from -1/-1 counters. One with the Stars is an aura that turns a creature into enchantment, while leaving its abilities intact. And as you can deduce, enchantments also don't die from any amount of -1/-1 counters. I think you can see a pattern here. We also have an honorable mention in black, in the form of Hazel's Brewmaster. This one works in a little bit different way, requiring a Devoted Druid in the graveyard. Its enter trigger allows us to exile a creature while creating a food token, and the passive ability grants our foods the ability of card exiled with Brewmaster. Yes, we turned a druid into a snack bar that can generate unlimited mana. Think about it for a second. Nevertheless, this part of video is almost done. I didn't find any mono-red cards that works with Devoted Druid in this way. Maybe something will be designed in the future. Of course, there's a bunch more ways to reach that state, but it's not a clean A+B solution. You can probably stumble into it by accident in some cases. Combo enjoyers had their share, so now it's part for combo haters. How do we counter this and when? In most cases, a well-timed removal spell can solve the issue. While the second part of the combo is in the stack, you can just remove Devoted Druid from the field. A good tech for that is an Abrupt Decay, since it bypasses any counterspell support. Path to Exile or Swords to Plowshares are more permanent solution, but they can be countered, not only by more classical choices, but also by mental misstep. If on-the-spot interaction is not possible, preemptive action can work. Most of the combos resolve around artifact, be it equipment, turning Druid into an artifact, or creating an artifact with Druid's abilities. So Stun Silence or Collector Oof will block them until removed. The situation is a little bit trickier with One with the Stars. There's not much enchantment ability hate, so we must turn to more generic solution. Pitting Needle and Phyrexian Revoker will blank all combination with exclusion of Brewmaster's Food. That's a token, not a card. Which is not great, but Brewmaster targets a card in the graveyard and that's much simpler to work around. We can also tax or turn off the untap ability, which breaks the combo. For that we have a Disruptor Flute or Suppression Field, or even Trick Bind, which is very hard to interact with, but a temporary solution. Going back to Hazel's Brewmaster for a second. Its ability requires a Devoted Druid in the graveyard, but exiling it can be done in myriad ways. Starting with activation of Tarmod Script, having a Leyline of the Void, or just casting well-timed Cling to Dust. You can be more proactive with Silent Gravestone or Grunseal, but graveyard interaction is a tool that should be in the most commander decks. Nothing honest happens there anyway. This will be all for this topic. If you have something to add or have another combo that you would like to have explained in this format, feel free to drop that in the comments below. Also like, share and subscribe to appease algorithm Jesus. See ya in the next one.